Good morning and welcome to this week's video. It's going to be a fun one today. We've got a little bit of DIY to do in the workshop, but before that we're heading out on the road to IKEA to pick up some shelves and then going to two of my favourite retro game stores here in the Midlands area, which is Entertainment World and GameSmart. I'm taking my son, so we're going to do some game hunting. And so yeah, I'm going to finish my coffee in my Super Mario mug and then we're going to get on the road. So I have just gotten back from the IKEA trip and the 2 game stores. So we actually went the other way around to what I said in the intro. We started at GameSmart, which was great. I'd never been there before. I've been going to Entertainment World for years and had no idea that GameSmart was literally 5 minutes around the corner. So that was really cool, really interesting to see what they had in there. A good mix of games and toys I found, which was interesting, whereas Entertainment World leans a bit more into the games, although having said that, they've had a bit of a move around since I last went, and they're leaning heavily into all aspects of retro now, including music and movies. So yeah, really cool to see both stores and where they're at and chat to the owners. I know Rob at Entertainment World well, so it was a really good trip, and my son had a blast and he was good as gold, which was great. So maybe he'll be coming out on a few hunts with me in the future. I'll show you what I picked up from there later on, but first of all, there's a job to do. Behind me on this wall, I've got my trusty IKEA shelves. I can't remember what they're called. Is it Melander? I don't know. Anyway, they're cheap as chips. I'm going to fit them upside down, I think. I think they'll give me more display space, and I'm putting minis on them. But I'm going to see how that's going to work, because the mounting points for these things are quite low, and I think that way around it might kind of lean off the wall, so I might have to add an extra screw or two. So we're going to do that now. I'll get that up and done and show you how I'm planning to use those shelves, and then I'll head back into the games room and I'll show you what I picked up. So let's get on with the shelves. So welcome back into the games room. It's actually been a few hours since I finished putting those shelves up. As you'll see, I have changed. We went out with the kids for a curry this evening, a bit of an impromptu dinner, which was lovely. So a couple of beers light and a belly full of curry, and I'm back here to wrap up this video and show you what we picked up. So before I get into the 2 different shops that we visited today and the pickups that I picked up from them, I had a couple of things, random things that I've purchased over the course of the last month or so, to be honest, that I thought I'd cover off while we were here. So the first one of those is Assassin's Creed Shadows on the PS5. I actually picked this up on Amazon, brand new. I think it was about half price. I want to say about £30 I paid for this. I've been wanting to pick this up for a while. Haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in quite a long time and thought this would be a good one to jump into. I have got Odyssey top of my Assassin's Creed list to play. I still haven't played it, but this would probably be up there as second most anticipated. So happy to add that one to the collection. And then I also picked up a couple of collectibles to go on the shelves. So the first one, again, I saw this on Amazon. I think it was less than £10, and I thought it was well worth it for that. And it's this grizzly, handsome, jacked Ryu, and he sits neatly on a shelf with his little robe over his shoulder, blowing in the wind. Thought that was a cool addition. I have got a Ken already, and I am a big fan of Street Fighter. And although I don't collect the figures particularly, I just thought this was really cool and thought it'd be a nice addition to the room. And then sticking with the kind of collectible figures scene, again, I'm still very much in my Mario Galaxy mode and my Star Fox mode, and I picked up for I think about £6 on Vinted the Star Fox amiibo to add to the collection. I've already got Falco, and now I've got a Star Fox as well. I would like to get the Wolf, but we'll pick him up at some point. Those were all picked up, as I say, aside from the shops that we've been to today. So I'll start of the first of the two, which was GameSmart. Now, I've never been to GameSmart before. It was my first trip. And I thought the shop was interesting. There was definitely some interesting box stuff in there. Quite a lot of figures. I think I mentioned that earlier. Some of them have seen better days. They were a little bit beaten and battered in places, but that's fine. You know, they did say at the counter they're not looking to make the sort of like collectible figures per se. It was more about having accessible figures for families and kids to come in and pick up. So my son had a field day playing in there. And I've always said on this channel that I buy to play rather than just to kind of display. So although I've got some absolute display pieces, before anyone jumps at me in the comments and goes, well, what about X? I also don't mind buying loose carts, and here is a primary example. So I saw in their Mega Drive cabinet this one. This is X-Men on the Mega Drive. Now, I've already got X-Men 2 The Clone Wars. It's my childhood copy, boxed and immaculate, and I'm very grateful for that because it's expensive these days. And it's arguably a better game, I imagine, but I've never played this. So when I saw this in the cabinet, I think it was about £10 or £15. It wasn't expensive. I thought I'm going to pick that up and I'm actually going to play it. So this is going to get used on the Retron 5 at some point, and yeah, I'll get to experience what the original Marvel X-Men was all about. And then while I was looking in that same cabinet, I saw a cover for a game, and I have this a lot. I don't have the world's best memory, right? And whenever I'm looking or thinking about gaming from my youth, there's probably a handful of games that I go back to as key franchises that really mean something. And then there's a whole load of filler and stuff that I know I've played that I've all but forgotten about. And this is one of those cases where I saw something and then those memories jump back in and I went, oh my God, I've played that. And I liked it. But I couldn't remember where I played it. So I was talking to the guy in the shop, and I called out this particular game on the Mega Drive, and he said, oh, it was also on the PS1. Maybe you played it there. And they'd also got it on the PS1. Now, on the PS1, it was £6, or I think I paid £5 in total for my bundle. On the Mega Drive, it was 15. And to be honest, when I looked at the back of the two boxes, I'm of a stronger belief, although I cannot be 100% sure, stronger belief that I played it on the PlayStation. And that game is Street Racer. Now, this copy of it is beaten and battered. As with many PS1 cases, it isn't in good condition, but it'll make for a case swap at some point. Everything else about it is absolutely fine. The disc is in good nick. And it's not a high value game. So this is just one of these ones I picked up to remember. But I remember playing this back in the day. It's some sort of vehicular kind of combat. It was probably me looking for a Mario Kart-esque title. But in this one, I seem to remember each character's got their own quirk or their own way of attacking others. So on the front of the cover here, we've got a dude with a baseball bat, a blonde with some sort of scarf, some E Honda looking character with his hands up like he's about to slap you. And anyway, I just saw it and thought, yeah, I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to take that home and give that a go. So again, it's another one to play. I will do a case swap at some point, but I'm not in any rush. I'll find a donor and swap them over. But yeah, Street Racer on the PS1. I didn't pick anything else up from GameSmart. Like I said, some really interesting stuff in there. Probably could do with more time to really thumb through all of the games that they've got on the shelves. There's just so many of them. I will say one thing I did appreciate more than Entertainment World is that they alphabetize all the games. Now for me, that makes life so much easier when I'm scanning and perhaps looking for certain things. Whereas Entertainment World have got a really good stock, but it's all jumbled. So I find it more overwhelming perhaps to search through. But anyway, so GameSmart, for my first visit, really happy. The staff were really friendly. Had a really good chat with the guy who was running the shop on the day. And yeah, a really nice store with lots of stuff to look at. I'll definitely go back and do some more shopping in the future. So as I said, then we moved on to Entertainment World, and I did pick up a few more bits here, spent a little bit more money. As I said, I've been there many times before. I know the owner well. And I'll start with my first pickup. So this was a PS3 title. I must have got it in my head that X-Men was something I was going to continue to pursue, because that game is X-Men Destiny. I'm pretty sure I played this back in the day. I don't think it's a bad game from memory. I don't think it was equally kind of universally acclaimed as being the top ticket. And I think from memory, and I will probably get this horribly wrong, but I'm pretty confident you had to create or pick one of these different mutants on the front. You weren't playing as an X-Men, I don't think. And you were basically customizing your own superhero. I think that's right. Let me read the back. Fight alongside or against the X-Men based on your choices. Inherit X genes to arm yourself with powers of your favourite X-Men characters, and customise and enhance your powers through branching decision trees. Yeah, I was right. So X-Men Destiny, one I will add to my growing X-Men collection. As a child of the 90s, Spider-Man and the X-Men, those two cartoons were life as far as I was concerned. Massive X-Men fan here. Always have been more X-Men than Avengers, even though that's what ultimately became the core of the MCU. Before that, I remember X-Men being my gateway to Marvel. And then the other one is a title that actually I've been thinking about picking up on the PS3, but actually have gone and picked up on the 360. I may feel like this is a bad choice when I try to sit down and play it. I'll just show you it anyway. So that is Devil May Cry, the HD collection. Now I had intended, as I said, to pick this up on the PlayStation because there's a number of HD collections that I would like to own, and I might still do that, but this was a bit cheaper than that PS3 version goes for. I paid £15 for this, and I actually thought, I loved the Xbox 360 back in the day. Maybe it would be fun to play through Devil May Cry on what I would argue is perhaps a superior controller. That's going to set people off on the console wars in the comments, but I have always preferred the Xbox layout to a controller, even if my memories are stronger with a PlayStation. I think the symbols are easier to remember on a PlayStation than the letters on Xbox, but that may be because Nintendo insists on putting their letters in different places, and therefore we have two very confused A's, B's, X's, and Y's. But anyway, so anyway, 360, Devil May Cry, the HD collection. Looking forward to giving that one a go. That was the end of the games, but then we still have game adjacent content. So the next thing I picked up was a strategy guide. Now I love a strategy guide, and I've got quite a few from this particular series, but this one has so far escaped me. There is one more from the 3D series that I don't own, which I'll talk about in a second. That strategy guide and game is The Legend of Zelda, The Skyward Sword. This is in really nice condition. I think it's even got the poster still in the back, which would come with it. Excellent, as I said, and I just love flicking through strategy guides for the visuals. I mean, they're obviously very useful if you're going to play the game. I don't have any intention of playing this immediately, although I might pick up the Switch version and play that at some point. But I thought I'd pick this up because I've got a whole heap of other Zelda strategy guides in my collection. The one I'm missing from the 3D games is Twilight Princess, so I'll keep an eye out for that and find that at some point. But as I said, super happy to add this one to the collection. As I said, you can just see really, really excellent condition, which for a game that old and a book that old is quite hard. And then the final one was actually an after purchase. So I'd already bagged up, taken everything that I was going to buy, and then I was chatting to the owner, and he's got a really impressive and growing record collection. And I said to him, I'm not really into records or particularly collecting music, not a huge amount, but I do like the idea of picking up game soundtracks, especially on LP. And he said, oh, I've got some. Like, go and have a look. And I went and flicked through the soundtracks. Most of them were movies, to be fair, but I did find one game. And I have to confess, I've not played this game, but I know it's well thought of and held in high regard. And I just thought this was a cool piece. And I'll show you more in the B-roll. But that record and that game is Shenmue, or Shenmue, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. So Sega did a series of these by the looks of it. So it says on the back there, other titles in the series include, I won't read them all, Streets of Rage, Shinobi, Outrun, Golden Axe, Altered Beast, Space Harrier, and others. But this is the original soundtrack by Takanobu Mitsuyoshi. I'm going to butcher all these. Ryuji Lucci. I'm so sorry. Osamu Murata and Yuzo Koshiro. And it's a really cool thing to own, I think, personally. I think I paid £30 for it, which I'm looking on eBay, seems to be about right, maybe on the lower end. Cool artwork. Inside is, of course, the record, but it's a blue disc, which you'll be seeing in the overlay. And this art print is also included as well. Now, stupidly, I don't actually own a record player. Not yet, anyway. I do intend to pick one up at some point. I just don't really know what to buy. I was going to go and buy one of the more modern Bluetooth-enabled ones, but everyone's told me the audio quality is terrible, don't do it. So now I'm probably going to have to look for recommendations of some sort of classic bit of kit that I can try and find. So if you know of any, or you have any particular knowledge in this subject and want to recommend anything, then let me know down in the comments. And those were all of my pickups. So a real mixed bag today. You know, some fairly run-of-the-mill, but I think fun games that I can look forward to playing, and a good mix of nostalgia. And then some nice kind of game adjacent additions with the strategy guide and the record. So I had a fun day. I think my son's thoroughly enjoyed it. I've had a great time taking him out. I'm definitely going to take him out to a few more of these things in the future, maybe even some of the gaming markets, or I might try a toy market. I live very close to the NEC, and I hear a lot of good things about the toy show that goes on at the NEC. So maybe that'll be on the list at some point in the future. But thank you so much, as always, for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything you saw on those shelves in those stores that I've missed there, anything that took your eye that you think I should have picked up. As I said, I've had a great day, thoroughly enjoyed it, and we'll definitely be doing it again in the future. I also had to pluck up the courage to film in the stores. I'm not used to doing the game hunts in stores. I did ask Rob at Entertainment World if it was okay, and he was gracious and said absolutely no problem. And I'll be honest, I stealth filmed in GameSmart to start with, and then I kind of fessed up to the guy who was running the store on the day, and he was super lovely, and he even asked me for my YouTube details and said he would watch. And so yeah, if you are watching, then thank you so much for, first of all, you know, being so hospitable when I was in the store with my son, and then also not having an issue with me filming. So I do appreciate it. But like I said, that's the end of the video today. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and all that good stuff. Get involved in the comments below. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video.